An interception. We don't know so. What a remarkable drive, man. That's an All-American drive right here.
It's not exactly unwarranted. Like, when you have a guy as that electric.
The legend himself, the GOAT, Dre Crowell.
Where my warm bottle movement at?
That kills your argument right there.
Anything can happen. This game is not over. What's good, Relocation Football League fans? It's your boy Smitty here. Not technically solo dolo. I got Forbes, but he can't be on the camera because something's going on with his Wi-Fi out there, man. I don't know where he's at in Amazon. But at the end of the day, he's going to be here talking with us verbally. You should be able to hear his voice. And as for Bill, he's unable to make it. So it's just going to be me and Forbes talking things over. So for the most part, and I forgot because I was paying attention to Dunn's podcast. And man, shout out to the Miners, man. Love y'all boys. But shout out to Forbes for being able to talk more later on in this podcast about the scenarios, the playoffs. Man, this is the last week of the season 8 season, guys. Season 8's about to be in the book in one more week. I know some of y'all are salty because you're not going to be in the playoffs, but guess what, man? You survived the season. Shout out to all the rookies that played this year. Shout out to all the teams that just played, period, and put on a good show. You know, some teams didn't go the way you wanted it to, but at the end of the day, made for some good football, right? That's what the RFL is all about, man. And for the guys over here, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to Relocation Football League. If you are new, want to learn more about the league, visit our website, relocationfootballleague.com. And you're about to learn more today about what's happened in the past couple of weeks because we're about to go into the scores, but I'm going to go a few weeks back. Since we missed the podcast last week, I am going to show you guys the final scores of what happened in week 16. Then after I talk about the week 16 scores, that'll be a quick recap of just the scores. We'll go more in depth of the week 17 scores, and then we will get a look at the top 10 power rankings, which will be back this week, and the upcoming final schedule week that we got coming up here, man, which has a lot of implications. Now, I was talking to Forbes. Forbes, you here, man? You should be in a
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So you're going to be, I forgot what it was we said because I was focused on something else. So are you going to be like talking during these segments, or you just want to come in when we're talking about the playoff stuff?
Yeah, just let me know when we get to like all the playoff stuff.
Okay. Well, you might as well just, because I think I'm going to dive into that while we're talking about, you know, some of these games, because I am going back a few weeks. So since I'm going back a few weeks and talk about those games, we can talk about like a little bit about how those games were important or whatever, thoughts on that. So just whenever you able to chime in, just let me know. So let's go look at these week 16 scores, right? All right, so we had 9 games a few weeks ago, and week 16, Armadillos got absolutely flatlined by the Voyagers, 44-6. The Bulldogs shutting out the Cougars 17-0. Just definitely hasn't been the Cougars season this year. I mean, this is the most times any team in RFL history has been shut out in a single season. They got shut out 3 times, which is tough. Calvin Poole making a debut that week, beating McCall and the Black Knights at home in Toronto, 35-21. That was a great game there just to watch. The Steamers, Shamrocks made it hard for them that week. They came out, they had a lead for a little moment, and then the Steamers started to put it together, showing why they're the #1 team in the conference, defeating the Shamrocks 28-17. Then we had the Elks holding on. They just need one more win now to clinch the NRC West as they take down the Condors 27-14 from a few weeks ago. And then we had the Bisons, man, with a crazy final seconds score with Sam Hamgusso, just proving why he is just the GOAT of wide receivers on this team. And within those final seconds, they were able to get that last touchdown to go up by 1 point, 17-16, the final over the Pioneers. Aviators got a big win over the Celtic Tigers. Celtic Tigers could have had a foothold on the #1 seed in the division had they have gotten that win there, I think, for the most part anyway. Not sure what would have happened. It would have been a lot of tiebreakers or whatever would have had to happen if the Celtic Tigers and the Bulldogs, say if they were to lose this upcoming week, were to have the same record. And I really don't know still who would have won because they split, if that did happen. But the Aviators came up big. 27-20 was the final score there. The Explorers getting it done over the Barons 34-15. to keep them in front of the Tigers. They needed that. And then we had the Riverhogs, man, sweeping the Red Dragons. This was huge for Q because this game right here, as we go into the upcoming week that just passed, well, the week that just passed after this, week 17, you're going to see why that was important. But a handedly solid victory. I don't even know if that's the right thing to say, but they got a solid victory nonetheless over the Red Dragons in San Diego. They did that in San Diego, 31-16. That was huge. The Red Dragons were red hot, and they cooled them off, man. Cooled them off, and now they're not even officially in the playoffs up to this point. So we'll talk more about that. But that was the week 16 scores, right? Now we go into week 17. This is the week that just passed. We'll go more into depth on these things. All right, so first game of the week, Gunners needed to beat the Steamers to stay relevant to have a chance at the playoffs, and the number one team just simply wasn't having it. They complete the sweep back on the Gunners. They beat them by twice the amount of scores as they win 34-17. Big game there. The Barons getting the exact revenge on the Tigers, man, and this was a huge win for Roland to go out with. And not only that, I mean, for the Tigers, this was a tough loss for them because with this loss, I mean, they could have pretty much guaranteed themselves a spot in the playoffs had they won this game. But the Barons came in, they meant business, shut it down in Chicago, and they win 38-13. T-Birds beat the Lancers, dominating fashion, 41-9. Really nothing too much to talk about there. The Diablos holding it down, dominating over the Desperados despite a good-looking effort from Kyle Bain. Still lost by 18 points, 41-23. Another big shock here for the Red Dragons. Talk about them cooling off. They just had that tough loss, getting swept by the Riverhogs. Then they came into OKC just this past week and lost to the Bisons 27-20. So that was a gut-wrenching L that they took there, and once again lowering their chances and securing the Riverhogs as the ARC West Division champs. So that was huge right there. Bisons came up big. They get a win on the season. That's great for them. Red Dragons, they're still in the talks, but it's tough after a loss like that. And then, of course, for Coach Q and the Riverhogs, they get it done his first season. He wins the division. That's great. Monarchs went to war. Wasn't the greatest of games. I mean, only 14 points. It was 14-11. They started out hot, and then it was just pretty much nothing going on. Stalemate for majority of the game. Shamrock started to try to come back, but unfortunately came up short. Cougars continuing to struggle. They fell short to the Bulls. The Bulls had quite a bit of separation, and the Cougars started to come back towards the end through a crazy Hail Mary pass, but Brock Mountain had two crazy receptions for touchdowns on the secondary to win it 38-33. The Wizards able to defeat the Crusaders, and the score, in my opinion, was a little bit more favoring the Wizards more than what the score shows, because the Wizards, they were pretty much dominant for a majority of this game as they were able to get that done. There are a ton of fumbles in that game, so I don't know what was going on, but dudes just could not hold on to the football. And the biggest shock of the week, the Columbus Explorers taking a loss and one of the wildest games of the week, definitely an RFL classic. The Condors upsetting the Explorers in Sacramento in their final RFL game, 35-31. What a way to go out by those guys. Hence why Chase McCoy is gracing the podcast cover. Then you had the Aviators, man, hoping they can make it to the playoffs. Just had a great win over the Celtic Tigers, and then the Bulldogs getting the win here, dominant fashion. Couldn't do anything on offense. 28-10 the final. And the Miners, winning the South outright easy. I mean, absolutely destroying the Dreadnoughts. There's nothing they could do. They lost by 30. 30 clipped them. Straight magazine. 37-7 the final score there. Just going into some games. You still there, Forbes?
No.
No? Okay. We'll move on then. It's like, nah. But yeah, just going into some games, man. Is there anything here that kind of, I'm not even sharing the screen to you, my guy. So we're all over the place right now. But let me just share the screen so you can actually see what's going on. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that was delayed. Yeah. Okay, you should be able to see now. You good?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, cool. So just going into a couple games, we knew about the situation with the Gunners, taking their loss with the how about the significance of the Tigers? You know, we could get into some playoff talks now. I mean, you could really go all over the place or however far you want now. I could talk about a couple games, talk about the Tigers, how tough that loss to the Barons was, the loss the Explorers took to the Condors, what that could do for them, due to them potentially missing the playoffs after going undefeated and winning the championship, the Red Dragons potentially being knocked out. Everything that you see here with these games that happened this past week, give us a rundown of like the craziness that is of this week 18 that we have coming up and how important the rest of the games are.
Well, man, just starting with that Barons Tigers game, man. The Tigers losing that gave the Snowhawks a tiebreaker over them as of right now. They have more conference wins, so they move ahead. And because of that, it cost a 3-way tiebreaker with them, the Monarchs and Snowhawks. Obviously, I just said the Snowhawks won the first one. And after a team gets in, tiebreakers reset. And so it only being the Monarchs and Tigers, that loss, as of right now, has kicked the Tigers out of the playoffs. The Monarchs currently hold the 7th seed. You know, we look at this loss the Explorers took to the Condors. That loss, if that forces another tiebreaker between the Tigers and the Explorers, say the Tigers win this week 18 and the Explorers lose, it could kick the Explorers all the way out, giving an exact scenario. You know,
Yeah.
we thought the Explorers were good, but I take the blame for it. When we advanced, I did not account for the strength of victory that the RFL teams get over NFL teams. And so the Snowhawks played a better NFL schedule, giving them strength of victory, and it helped them jump over the Tigers. So, and then what else? Obviously, the Miners winning clinched them their division, 3-time ARC South champ.
Shout out to Miner boys, man. You know we love you out here.
The Crusaders losing this game eliminated them.
Yeah, and that was tough because all they had to do, if they got the win over the Elks coming up this week, then they could have.
They could have snuck in.
Yeah, they could have snuck in.
The Aviators losing this game eliminates them because now the Bulls are ahead of them no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like you brought up, the Gunners are now eliminated.
Yeah, so those are like the key things I guess we could take away from this past week, right? No other things you're seeing here? Yeah, so those are key things. We're going to, of course, go into week 18 coming up. So a quick recap of the final scores and, of course, Forbes going over everything that's taking place, how wild it's going to be. I'm pretty sure he's going to go even deeper when we get into, the upcoming weeks and how important the rest of those games are. And I'll talk a little bit because I know a little bit of things from talking with Forbes as well. So that's it for the final score recaps. Let's get a look at the top 10 power rankings. We weren't able to post these for week 17 because, things got busy. But week 18, here we go. These are the top 10 power rankings. The Steamers officially are moved up to number 1. Despite the Thunderbirds just a few weeks ago, even though they were dominant and they were at the number 1 seed, had to move the Steamers up because even though, the T-Birds were injured when they played, badly injured when they played, they still are the number 1 seed. They did defeat the T-Birds, and then on top of that, the Explorers, they did lose to the Explorers, but the Explorers are completely kind of like right now out of the top 3 race due to the losses in which they sustained this year. So at this point, I just had to go with, hey, the Steamers looking good. They're having a phenomenal season. I mean, look at that guy, Nishan Richardson. They got to be the number 1 team right now. And the only way to prove that the T-Birds are truly going to be the number 1 team for this season is if they meet in the playoffs, they make it that far, and they meet in a conference championship. We'll see who the best is at that point. But right now, got to keep the Steamers at the number 1 team. They've just been phenomenal this year. Of course, T-Birds going to be 2nd. Diablo's jumping up to 3rd here. And the big reason we had the Celtic Tigers over the Diablos before, but of course, the Explorers dropping down after their losses. The Celtic Tigers fall because of that loss they took a few weeks ago to the Aviators, which, that's a team that, honestly, a team that they should have won against when it comes to, favorites. So from that, even though we know and we talk about the Diablos having a weak schedule this year, they are still a good team that's putting up points and is going to be tough to beat in the playoffs for anybody still. So you guys have jumped up to 3 there, Forbes. Celtic Tigers stay at 4. Bulldogs jump up to 5. And the Explorers fall all the way to 6 now with this, because we just talked about these guys might not even make the playoffs, which is just wild to even think about for a team that had broke records and, of course, the history of going undefeated and winning championships, the first team to ever do that in RFL. And then we got the Huskies there at 7, Miners moving up to 8, Riverhawks move to 9, and the Elks here at 10, because these guys might actually win the division. So these are the rankings, and they actually still fall in record order, but honestly, I do feel like they are that good based off of how the season has been going. So looking at these rankings, is there anything that you would flip here, Forbes?
I think the only thing I might flip, which will probably take care of itself, is I might put the Bulldogs over CT. Right now.
And that's exactly why I have it for what it is like right now until next week, because Celtic Tigers did beat the Bulldogs when they played. We'll see who flips where, after this week. So that's kind of why I kept it where it was. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Definitely going to be interesting. But everything else you said seems pretty all right in your opinion, right?
Yeah, I just, looking at who 9 and 10 are, like you look at this list, you see that the Snowhawks aren't on there, the Voyagers aren't on there. Obviously, the Red Dragons just lost 2 in a row. I feel like that 11, 12, 13 are just right there, but there's no reason for the Elks not to be on the list right now.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a wild season. I had to grace my boy Reed Wagner on the poster because, this guy seems to be the front runner for league MVP. I don't think anybody's going to take that away from him. And he wasn't on the poster last time that the Steamers had a guy on the poster. They are one of the few teams that had a guy on the poster twice. And the first guy was, of course, the guy, Nishan Richardson, who was just absolutely dominating, having the best defensive tackle season in RFL history. I think in real life history. I don't think anybody has ever done at a defensive tackle position what this guy has done with his stats. The guy got 50 tackle for losses, leading the league currently in sacks with 22.5, over 100 tackles as a defensive tackle. That's just ridiculous.
I know you're saying best season as a defensive tackle. This might be the best season as a defensive player.
Yeah, I think it is. I don't think anybody would ever do that. Nobody would ever do what he did. And he's got another game.
What did Ingram have? 20, 25, 26 sacks that one season?
27.5. He went
27.5?
Yeah, he went
But
crazy.
He didn't have 50 TFLs.
Yeah, 50 TFLs. He was up there, but he didn't have no 50. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And Richardson is 3, 4, 5 sacks away.
And what makes it more crazy is the fact that this is a defensive tackle we're talking about, though.
Yeah.
Ingram definitely got it when it comes to sacks, and who knows if homeboy pulls out a 5-sack game in this auto win to tie, that would be crazy. I'm not saying it's not possible, but where he's got him beat is just in the tackles for loss. But just for doing that at that position was just amazing. I don't see anybody doing that, man, unless we get another defensive tackle that plays on that on that category, that level. But I just don't see it ever happening, man. And this guy's just 23. I know we're getting off topic to talk about, but that's just how amazing of a season that he has had, and he is on this number 1 team who is feared mostly for their offense. So that's why the Steamers have to be the top team right now in the RFL, and we'll have to see if they can make it all the way to the Relo Bowl, something that's eluded them since Coach Justin Jones has, came in to play as a head coach.
Yeah, man. They're number 1 for a reason. They have the best offensive and defensive player in the league right now.
Yeah, that's just wild. All right, now we're going to get into the schedule here, guys. This is going to be a quick podcast, it seems. We're about to roll right in, talk about this. Forbes, he's pretty short with his, analysis on things, and we'll probably be right into open questions, man. This might be an hour-long podcast. But we got a pretty big slate of games. Oh, yeah, the announcement is that I will not be calling any games this week except for the final game to determine who will be the number 1 seed in the ARC, which is at the bottom right with the Celtic Tigers and Bulldogs. I am going away back home. Not going to just talk about the situation. I put that out in Discord, but going back home on a flight back in Delaware. Got to leave Florida. And then I won't be back until Sunday. So since I'll be back on Sunday, it'll be I'll be able to call that Celtic Tigers and Bulldogs game, which is going to be it's obviously game of the week. That's a big game. That's a must watch. We'll see a lot of must watches this week though. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the on my end the spreads for this week. And Mitch, bro, you guys don't forget about the bets, man. They got dudes still making bets on spreads. They trying to get some reloads, man. They need their payout if they got it. But okay, so the first game, we have the Monarchs and the Toronto Thunderbirds. Now, I have the Monarchs winning this because as the coach of this CPU team, the players all decided, hey, we don't want to risk any injury. We know that's the biggest Achilles heel for the Toronto Thunderbirds. So they're going to be playing all of their backups. There won't be a starter out onto the field. So, and they're not a team known for depth. So looking at a full starting Monarchs roster versus a backup unit that is kind of even below average to other teams with their backups, I got the Monarchs winning. I still had it as a 3 points, but like honestly, that was when I thought they might have made the decision to say, hey, play the starters, let's just win the game. But players said, nah, we're not trying to get injured. Put the backups out. 3 points I had them winning by, but honestly, I got them winning by 10 or more with this situation. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going to have to take the Monarchs by 10 and more. You know, if you're putting in the backups at every position and the Monarchs are trying to make a playoff spot, the Monarchs go out there and they lose to a bunch of backups in the RFL. They don't deserve to make the playoffs anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is what makes things tough on the Tigers. Can you talk about why this game, with them having the greatest chance of winning, the highest odds of winning, why is that tough on the Chicago Tigers?
Well, because the Monarchs do have the head-to-head over the Tigers, and that's currently what's holding the Tigers out right now. So say the Tigers win, the Monarchs win, the Snowhawks are guaranteed to win. All those teams are 12-5, which means the exact same tiebreakers take place. Meaning the Tigers are still held out.
Yeah, so I mean, with this, just even if and that's even if the Tigers win, right?
With the Tigers right now, again, I'm only giving a 99% chance because I don't know all the stipulations with the NFL teams like we heard on Back Talk.
Mm-hmm.
So if for some reason the division the Tigers played win all 4 games, the division Mitchie played lost all 4 and flips them, well, that changes everything, and I just don't have the foresight at the moment to calculate all that.
Yeah, it's wild, man. But I mean, you gotta love this section of the season here in the RFL, man, because you don't know who's going to get in. It was wild last season. We had 2 10-7 teams make the playoffs, and now it's just all over the place, man. We don't know what's going to happen. The Explorers could be eliminated. Tigers looking like they had their first time to make the playoffs. Now they don't. Monarch could make their first ever playoff appearance simply with it being given to them by the T-Birds right now. Like, it's just been a wild season. Okay, moving on to game 2. It's your game against the Wizards, and you're doing the same thing. You're sending a few guys, and you're going to be on the road against the Wizards. 5-0 record against the Wizards, but of course things could be different here as you're on the road. And like I said, not everyone is starting for you guys. Who do you have playing in this matchup? I do have you guys winning by 3 or more points, but who is it that you're subbing out and putting within this game?
So James Ramos will be playing in this game. You know, sitting Lane Kearney, there's no reason for him to go out there and get hurt. As far as I believe, that's the only offensive change we made. We're going to leave Pico out there, Axel. Drew Blaze will play more. We're going to sit Courtney Mitchell. We're going to let Mike Mark play. But on offense, that's about it. And then on defense, we're not playing Nate Frank. You know, 32, 33-year-old safety doesn't need to be out there. We're going to let Corey Vickerson get some play. And then we are also benching Dwayne Costin, who currently has 15 sacks. But we're going to let our rookie Dre Willis get a full game for the first time.
I mean, did you have to say bench like that?
Yeah, man.
Made it sound like he was terrible.
Nah.
All right, so of course you think
I'm still going to take my team to win.
Oh wow, he said
I don't care who's out there. I'm still taking myself.
6 dubs, man. Don't get 6-0, Rummel. All right, now the premier games. Well, they all premier games other than the last game, like I talked about. But Oh yeah, and the way that these games will be shown to you guys, I'm not going to have them just because they're all premiere games, except one be shown all on Saturday, because that would be a mega Saturday, and we're not having that. That's way too many games to watch. So I will still have these games show at the time in which I would have called them. So the Monarchs game will be at 8 p.m. Eastern, getting streamed on, getting premiered on the YouTube channel. Same deal with the Diablos and the Wizards game on Friday. And as for the Super Saturday games, those will premiere on their same time. Everything's going to be on their same time. It just won't have my commentary. All right, we got the Sentinels and the Bisons going at it. The Bisons, I got them winning by 4 or more points. They got the home field advantage. Just came off a big win over the Red Dragons. And as for the Sentinels, just their worst season that they've had. And that's kind of my reasoning behind it. What's your thoughts? Who do you think gets the win here?
I'm going to take the Bisons. The Sentinels haven't shown me anything all season to make me think they're all of a sudden going to turn around. But I do want to put out there for the Sentinels, if they lose, they will be the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft. If they win, they could fall all the way to 5.
All right. So we'll see how that turns out for the draft pick seeding. And game number 2 at 1 p.m. Eastern, we have an important game here for Chicago. The Shamrocks, who, they've been taking L after L, but they've been competing hard in just about every game they've played. And they've got to get it done, try to get it done again over the Chicago Tigers in Chicago. And this is the team that is picking number 1 overall in the RFL draft, regardless of a win or a loss. And I got the Tigers here, though, at home, winning by 4 more points.
Yeah, I also have the Tigers. I put out that stat earlier this week that the Shamrocks, Pat can fact check me when he has time, but I believe the Shamrocks have had the hardest schedule in RFL history.
Yeah, talk about that, man. Bring it all up, man. Talk about how these guys had to face everyone that's pretty much in the playoffs right now.
Yeah, so the Shamrock schedule, obviously they play their own division, which is currently the Steamers twice, who are the number 1 team in the league, the Gunners twice, and the Monarchs twice, who are currently trying to make the playoffs. They finished 4th last year, so they had to play the 4th place teams from last year in the other divisions, which happened to be me, who is currently 14-2, and the Elks, who are currently leading their division. So it just didn't work out very well for them. I went and did the math. Their average strength of schedule team, the teams they play on average win 13 games.
This is crazy, man. This is crazy. But yeah, that's a game must win there for Chicago if they want to have a shot at making their first playoff appearance. Then for the last 1 p.m. game, we have the Riverhogs and the Pioneers. Coach Machiavelli is also sitting his guys. The Pioneers are going to be out there full throttle. Javier Santana, of course, is taking over the helm, and he's going to finish out the season there. DJ Evans currently leading for Offensive Rookie of the Year in the ARC. Do you think that the young guy is going to be able to get it done over the Riverhogs? I don't think so. I got the Riverhogs still winning by 3 or more points. What do you think?
I don't know how many people Q-Punk is sitting. I also don't know much about his backup quarterback because I'm going to assume McBride is sitting.
Jimmy Carls, he's not too good.
Yeah, so if he is sitting in a majority of his starters, because I did inform him that he's going to be the 4th seed no matter what in the ARC.
Mm-hmm.
So if he is going to sit those players, I am going to take the Pioneers. It's kind of my same reason with the Monarchs. If you are an RFL team, there's no reason you should lose to backups. I don't care who you are.
Yeah. All right, and then also I see somebody in the chat ask a question, says, where do I find stats? Can somebody copy and paste the links of the Neon Sports website for the conferences in the chat, just so he could get it? If you can also put those under the comments, that would be great as well. So that way anybody who watches the video later can find it in that in our comment section. But yeah, so we'll move on to the 4 p.m. games. Black Knights versus Armadillos. I got the Armadillos winning by 4 or more points here to finish out their season. What's your thoughts on that game?
My thoughts is I am going to take the Black Knights. They have definitely won more games than we've given them credit for, but they have also. I'm going to bring it up again, like I do every week. The Black Knights wins are twice to the Sentinels, who are the number 2 overall pick, one to the Pioneers, who are the 4th, 5th overall pick, and then to the Bulls right now, who do they have a game this week? No, so they'll finish 6-6. They did not have they had an even record. They didn't have a winning record. And then if they beat the Armadillos, like I'm predicting, the Armadillos would have finished 5-7 in the RFL play. So they definitely overperformed, and I don't want to take anything away from them, but they also just need to be realistic about who they played and who they beaten.
Yeah, that's good points. That's why we got the Forbes on the show, man. Expose dudes statistically, but still, yeah, like you said, still overperformed in my opinion. Getting those wins. A couple teams just didn't play up to standards. We'll see. Hopefully they can finish it out strong. Didn't beat any winning teams though this season, like Forbes said. But I'm sure McCall, after how the season's going for him with Bart Simpson in the rain gifts.
I am about to call out McCall real quick though.
Oh, okay, we got to call out. Let me play the bell. I forgot about the bell. Let me get the bell ready. What you got for me?
Yeah. So McCall, right?
Mm-hmm.
He loves posting all his stats and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you don't want to bring up his 20 interceptions when he's bringing up the stat line. You know what I'm saying? He's just leaving them out. And that's what I've been calling him out for all season.
Sound like Taco
is that
Bell.
they would be a playoff team if he did not have if he had half of those interceptions. I guarantee they would be a playoff team this year.
Man, getting a little hot in here, ain't it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, all good, man. Challenge accepted. Go out there and ball this week, McCall, and get your team a dub as underdogs. All right, next game, we have the Dreadnoughts and the Red Dragons. Talk about why this game is very important. I'm going with the Red Dragons by 4 more points. I think they get it done there at home. What's your thoughts? And, of course, elaborate into all the stipulations and things that has to happen for either one of these teams to potentially make the playoffs. Yeah,
so starting off, if the Dreadnoughts lose, their chances are completely done. Right now, it's extremely small.
Yeah.
I am going with the Red Dragons to win this. They've lost 2 in a row. I don't think Davis wants to lose 3 in a row and mess up his playoff chances again.
Yeah. And this is a scary team in the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've been told that the 2 times the Red Dragons have made it, they've won it all both times.
Yeah, they're undefeated in the playoffs. So every time they've made it, they went all the way and won.
Well, if the Red Dragons win this game, they're in. That's it. They will be the 6th seed. So if the Red Dragons lose, however, it will create a tiebreaker between the Bulls, the Dreadnoughts, the Black Knights if they win, and the Red Dragons. And then that will come down to strength of victory, which comes back to the NFL teams. And as of right now, the Bulls would have the strength of victory. As of right now with the NFL teams. However, like I said, things can change. It could turn into the Dreadnoughts or it could turn into the Red Dragons.
Some wild stuff going on in Week 18, boys. Some wild stuff. Next game, we have the Oklahoma City Lancers and the Austin Desperados. They played earlier within the season, and the Lancers absolutely crushed them. But now they're going to be in Austin, Texas, taking on the Morado boys. I've got the Desperados. I think they get even, and I think they win by a field goal or more.
Yeah, I'm also going to take the Desperados. This is also a game to where if the Sentinels win and the Lancers lose, the Lancers go up to 2. If the Lancers win, the worst they can be is 4, so another seeding game. But I like Fontanasti, as Bill would say. You know, but I do have the Desperados.
Are we really trying to make this stick, man? This is crazy.
Yeah, man, Fontanasti. I mean, if he's taking over and playing next year, you know, Trey Mason's out of there.
Yeah, Trey's done for.
So we got Fontanasti down in Oklahoma City.
All right. And then this game, I moved it to the 6 o'clock because I know that dudes are going to be panicking because it's so important. T-Birds, though, at the end of the day, they said, like I said, the locker room said, we do not want to play our starters. Majority of people voted that. So they're sitting out. But this game holds a lot of weight because if the Elks beat the Crusaders in this game, the Elks will win the NRC West, which is just crazy to even think about a team and how they performed last year, how they were able to flip things around and make it to the playoffs, right? After that's something they did a few years ago. And we'll see how that goes. But with a win like that, as you could talk about Forbes, like how could that change who of course the division leaders would have to face within the first round. How tough is it looking in the NRC for pretty much 2 of the 3 teams?
Yeah, so like we said, if the Elks win, they win the division, which guarantees that one of the division leaders are gonna have to play the Snowhawks. And that's probably the matchup you don't want the most in the wild card. It looks like the Snowhawks are either gonna be the 5 or 6 seed right now, which I mean, if I gotta play them, I'll beat them anyway. I already did it in the regular season. It is what it is.
Ooh, shots fired.
But yeah, man. And then we didn't bring it up, but obviously if they lose, that means the Snowhawks win. And then we'd see the Elks as a wild card team. Maybe. You know, that creates a whole different set of tiebreakers between the Monarchs, the Tigers, the Explorers, and the Elks.
Okay. And
So there's
okay, yeah, the last time these guys played, the Crusaders defeated the Elks in their home stadium in San Diego, and now it's flipped around with the Elks. I'm pretty sure they're looking for get back here. Definitely the favorites to win. We'll have to see if Ben Wakefield could come out here and tear it up. He's going to have to. This is a very important game. They've already been knocked out the playoffs after their loss last week, right? You said, Forbes?
yeah, the Crusaders cannot make the playoffs.
Yeah, so tough break for them, and they're just playing to play spoiler and knock the Elks out with them on the couch. We move on now to that says 6, but it's 8 p.m. at night. This game will be premiering, and this is important. We just talked about it. The Explorers could potentially miss the playoff, guys, after going undefeated and winning a championship. They got the home field advantage, and they're playing the Gunners. They are the favorites to win against the Gunners, but the Gunners, they have flipped things around the second half of the season. Of course, they got eliminated last week after playing the number 1 team in the conference, but they could be a scary team. This is a game that Coach Nicholson has got to, just he's got to put everything on the line and get it done. And I know his nerves has got to be running crazy. I do have Bill getting it done by 4 more points. What do you think here, Bill? I mean, what do you think here, Forbes? And what's your thoughts on just the situation? Talk more about the situation if you want.
So I do have the Explorers winning this. They were the team that went undefeated last year and won the Relo Bowl, and it's extremely unchanged. Little pieces here and there around the edges, but the core is there. The majority of the players are still there from last year, so it's the same team. But for the Explorers to miss, it's one very specific scenario. So first, the Elks have to win their division. The Snowhawks have the auto win; they'll be 12-5. Then the Monarchs also have to beat the Thunderbirds, and then the Tigers have to beat the Shamrocks. So for anyone who doesn't know, when you do tiebreakers, it only takes the top team from each division at one time. So if we have 4 12-5 teams with the Snowhawks, the Tigers, the Monarchs, and the Explorers cannot go into the bracket until the Tigers are placed, which means it automatically becomes a Snowhawks, Tigers, Monarchs tiebreaker. Well, like I said before, currently, before we advance and see the NFL wins, Snowhawks have strength of victory. They go to 5.
Yeah, that's just crazy to even think about, man, because man, like I was saying, the favorites of who's going to win between the Monarchs and Tigers in their games, the odds are against. So it's pretty much like, don't even leave it to chance. You got to win this game. Definitely don't want to get bounced out. And I know, like I said, I mean, Bill's already bald. If he had hair, he would rip it back out. But this is a crazy game for the Explorers. But we got faith in them. We think they're going to be able to get back to the playoffs. And, of course, when they make it, they're going to be just as dangerous. So we'll see how things turn out there. Cougars, it's been a rough season for these guys, man. They're just trying to win out. If they lose this game, they'll have a losing season. If they win, they'll have a winning season. And I'm not sure if the Cougars ever had a losing season. I didn't check that before I came into this, but just one of the worst seasons in franchise history so far for the Cougars. And they have to take on those Voyagers, which is just a tough bunch. And they're going to have to do it in Houston with Baker. I got the Voyagers winning, though, by 4 more points. What's your thoughts?
I also have the Voyagers winning, and if the Voyagers win, they will clinch themselves a playoff spot. If they lose, it's the same situation as the Tigers Explorers. If the Voyagers lose, they cannot be placed into the playoffs until the Red Dragons are placed.
All right. And just to talk about it, I mean, there's currently 5 spots completely locked down, right? Within this
So in
division. So that
the
would leave 1 spot if they win.
if the ARC right now in the ARC, there are 5 spots locked. So it's only the 6 and 7 seed that are up for grabs. And right now it's the Red Dragons and Voyagers, but the Bulls and Dreadnoughts have outside chances to get in.
There it goes, man. It's getting down to the nitty gritty, boys. Getting down to the nitty gritty. And now we get to the final game of the upcoming week of week 18 to end the season. And then after that is playoff time, boys. The Celtic Tigers and the London Bulldogs, the old school rivalry, the first rivalry, I guess we could say that was major. The first ever Relo Bowl championship game, Celtic Tigers, Bulldogs. This is about to be live. Celtic Tigers beat them earlier within the season 30-16. But now they're going to be in London with it. And this London team, they've been playing some good football. Their defense has been, looking outstanding recently. And I got the Bulldogs winning by 4 more points here in this matchup. What's your thoughts within this game? Winner will get also the number 1 spot in the conference and have a bye week.
Yeah, so I do also have the Bulldogs winning this game. And like you just said, the winner will be the 1 seed, the loser will be the 5 seed, and we'll play the Riverhogs in the first round.
There it goes, man. Who wants to have that chilling week off, or who wants to play them River Dogs, man? River Hogs about to be out there trying to prove a point, but I know that Coach Q in his first year, I mean, that's a tall order for your first playoff game, man. With congrats getting there, but Q, man, been talking heavy. He's like, hey, we gonna get there, man. We gonna make it to the Relo Bowl. We feel we could beat anybody, and hopefully he shows that, man. It's gonna be tough. He's got a tough team. He's got a great defense. We'll see how it goes within that first round, but this is game of the week for sure. History once again repeating itself with the rivalries, the matchups, and you do not want to miss this Celtic Tigers and Bulldogs game. That is the one game this week I will be in the booth for calling. So that is it for the Week 18 schedule. So we pretty much went through everything with the scenario.
Are we doing the playoff predictions again?
Oh, yeah, we could definitely do that. Let me go ahead and pull. I actually didn't have that set up, but I do have the screen where I can just get into it. I just got to switch. Yeah, we could get into that. Yeah. And then we'll jump into fun facts with Pat after that, and then open questions. All right, so of course, never mind the NFL half, because our league is split into 2 separate files by conference. For anybody who doesn't know, and for guys who keep asking us, how do you relocate every team in a Madden file? You can't. So this is how we get through it and have our 32 teams. But looking on the right side, this is the NRC currently, how the playoff seeding is. All right, so within the first round, we got the Thunderbirds and the Monarchs. I think the T-Birds are going to get it done, man. That's back-to-back weeks, man. That'll be crazy. But the T-Birds, I see that them getting it done there. What's your thoughts on that game? Same?
Yeah, I have the T-Birds winning that.
All right, so same predictions there. You versus the Snowhawks.
Just go ahead and pick the other team. So just go ahead and do it.
Yeah. So you already know it's coming. Yeah, I'm actually going to pick the Snowhawks, and it's mainly because of the fact that y'all played already and you got that win 25-20. I don't know what it is. I just have a feeling that, especially with this team being hot, that the Snowhawks with the talent is just going to. That's why I wanted to avoid them, with the CPU team and the T-Birds of the T-Birds within the first round, because nobody wants to see the Snowhawks, man. Nobody wants to see the Snowhawks right now. And I think that whoever they play in the first round, they're really going to bring it to them and have a good potential of getting it done. And I just feel like I think they could get it done, man. So we differ there. The Elks and the Explorers, I don't think we have any differences in opinions on this. So
they picked the Explorers.
Yeah, they play close games, but I mean, it's always the Explorers regardless. So we differ between your game and mine. So for me, it would be T-Birds go down at the 2, and then the Explorers would have to play. No, okay, the T-Birds will have to play the Explorers, and then the Snowhawks would have to play the Steamers. So that's for me. For you, it would be um
It'd be
T-Birds.
Steamers, Explorers, Thunderbirds, me.
Okay, yeah, Thunderbirds. You, of course. Let's go with you first. So you said Steamers, Explorers. Who do you think wins that goes to the conference championship?
Steamers, Explorers. I'm gonna have to take the Steamers. I think before the last 2 weeks, I probably would have said the Explorers, but
Mm.
they've just been too inconsistent for me lately. Especially after that Condors game. So I'd have to go with Steamers.
Yeah, and our games I believe was the same. There, no, it wasn't because it's T-Birds and Explorers for me for my prediction. Okay.
Yeah.
And what about your other games? So of course you're gonna go with yourself.
Yeah.
Diablos versus who would it? T-Birds.
T-Birds.
Yeah, not having nobody. But but
Yeah, you can think what you want.
for me, I'm taking what is it? Steamers and Snowhawks. I think the Steamers beat the Snowhawks second time around. So I got the Steamers advances to the conference championship, and then for the T-Birds and Explorers game, I got the T-Birds. I got the T-Birds winning just for the inconsistency factors. I know they got that 6 interception game on the defense. They turned up that game, but the odds, in my opinions, of that happening, the type of defense that the T-Birds has and the inconsistencies we've seen from the Explorers, I'm going with the T-Birds in that situation. So for my conference championship, I have the Steamers and the Thunderbirds, and you have the
The
Steamers and
Steamers
you.
and myself.
Yeah, so of course you're gonna take yourself going there. So I guess what we can
Yeah.
do is predict each other's, right? So if it was you and the Steamers, and I would actually take the Steamers going to the championship at that point.
Do you have me favored over anybody in these 7 seeds, man? Like at
Nah, I
all?
mean, I really don't. I'm gonna be honest. I don't feel like with the schedule thing. I know you beat teams by a lot of points, but I just feel like it's just going to come to an abrupt end in the playoffs, man. I'm just honest about that. If you do make it past the Snowhawks, like I said, it's not like you can't. If there's a game that's tough that I think you can win, yeah, it could be that. Even though I picked the Snowhawks, but once it comes to the Steamers, the T-Birds, and the Explorers, I just don't see. I just can't see you winning that matchup, in my honest opinion. So that's why, I mean, I at least got you. If I had to choose and you did get there, I just don't think you could do that 3 times in a row. So that's my thoughts on that. And you had to pick between the T-Birds and the Steamers. Who do you think would go to the championship?
I think I'm gonna pick the Steamers for the same reason you picked the Snowhawks over me. Or no, who won in the regular season? I thought the Steamers beat the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, the Steamers did beat the Thunderbirds.
Yeah. So I'd be the opposite, like how you had in the first round. They already played in the regular season. The Steamers won that time. I think the T-Birds would come back and win it this time.
Okay, so you got the T-Birds for NRC championship. Well, I got the T-Birds. We're taking each other's predictions. So I got the
Yeah.
T-Birds for the NRC championship, and you have the
I mean, I have myself with the
Steamers.
T.
Yeah, you got the Steamers. All right, so let me go to the ARC side. Go ahead, close that real fast. And that's just so it could be differences when we go to the championship thing. All right. You playoff picture. All right, we are back here looking at the ARC now. So this is what the ARC looks like. The Miners and the Voyagers first round. Who you got? I'm gonna be honest. I'll go first. I think the Voyagers do defeat the Miners though. Voyagers defense, they beat them before, and I know we talk about like how you could get a win, and then the next time it makes it harder, but that's mainly with three-peats. I think that the Voyagers defense is because typically when Miles McCain faces a tough defense, that's when he has his not so stellar games. The Voyagers are going to be a tough defense. Glenn Hay is still a dog at quarterback. I think that they can do enough to get the victory over that top tier defense that the Miners has. So I'm choosing the Voyagers in the first round, and another first round elimination for the Dunster. What would you go with in the game?
I have the Voyagers.
All right. So same there. Huskies versus Red Dragons. I'm going to take the Huskies. I think their defense has been playing good enough, and I would have taken the Red Dragons had it not been for these last couple of losses. I feel like that shows that they still have that inconsistency on the offensive side of the ball, and if they have that against the Huskies, they're not going to win. And with the receivers that the Huskies have, they have a good chance of moving the ball on this good secondary, which has came down a bit. Le'Veon Henry's balling, but the rest of the secondary is beatable. And so for that reason, I'm going to take the Huskies.
Yeah, I'm basically for what you said, verbatim. I've also taken the Huskies, the Red Dragons, losing these 2 in a row, still up in the air if they're even going to make it. That's just Keith Guyton has been the best receiver in the league by far this year. I know Le'Veon Henry's balling out and whatnot, but I'm taking the consistency of Holden Wolf and the Huskies.
All right, in the final game in the first round, the ARC, Riverhogs and Bulldogs. Love you, Q, man. Been a great year, but I think it ends here. I think the Bulldogs advance on. That defense is ridiculous, bro. Defense is just ridiculous. So I'm going to take the Bulldogs.
Yeah, just Bulldogs.
So
There's
same
not
deal.
much to say here. Yeah.
All right, so what would happen is
CT versus the Voyagers, Huskies versus Bulldogs.
So CT versus Voyagers, Huskies versus Bulldogs. I think the Bulldogs beat the Huskies because they played earlier within the season. The Huskies beat them. And with them being in the playoffs, being hot now, that defense how it's playing, I think they can slow down the offense of the Huskies, and their offense could be slowed down as well, but I just feel like their defense is just better than the Huskies. With their defense being better, they should give their offense more opportunities to put up points. So I'm taking the Bulldogs advancing to the ARC Championship. And then as for the Celtic Tigers and Voyagers, that's freaking tough. I'm gonna take CT though. I think CT can beat them.
CT and the Voyagers. I wish I could see, look into the future and see this week 18 game, see how they're playing and whatnot. But yeah, I'll take CT over the Voyagers as well.
All right, and is it the same deal with the Huskies and Bulldogs for you?
Huskies and Bulldog. Yeah, my conference championship would be the CT and Bulldogs.
All right, yeah, and for the ARC Championship, it's gonna be CT and the Bulldogs, man. And hey, this is kind of how my predictions would go. I feel like if the Bulldogs split and they meet here, CT wins. If the Celtic Tigers sweep the Bulldogs, they meet in the playoffs, then the Bulldogs win. I feel like the Bulldogs are going to win this week, though. So for that reason, I am going to take CT to go to the championship.
And I'm going to differ and take the Bulldogs.
All right. So you got the Bulldogs for ARC, and who did I choose for you? I chose
one of us had Steamers, one of us had T-Birds.
Yeah, so you had T-Birds. So it would be Bulldogs and T-Birds for you, and Steamers and Celtic Tigers for me. So what was your thoughts in your championship game? Thunderbirds versus Bulldogs. Who you got?
Thunderbirds versus Bulldogs. Well, if I'm predicting the Bulldogs to go all the way to the Relo Bowl, that means Timmy Merritt has probably been consistent through those 3 games. I'm going to take the T-Birds because I'm not sure Timmy Merritt can win 4 straight hard-fought games without having one hiccup game. And if he's gotten there, he's probably due for one. And you can't have that against the Thunderbirds defense.
Okay, so for me is Steamers versus Celtic Tigers. I've got the Steamers in that. Like I said, the Celtic Tigers is a good team, but at times when they can have their hiccups, the defense of the Steamers has been so good this year that I think they definitely can pose big problems for the Celtic Tigers offense. And their defense is solid, but I don't think they're solid enough to hold the firepower in which the Steamers have. So for me, Steamers win the Relo Bowl. For you, T-Birds win the Relo Bowl based off our selections there. And yeah, there you have it. There's our predictions. If the playoffs were to start today, but they're going to start next week, guys. So get ready. And I think now we're good to go to get into the fun facts with Pat. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into the fun facts with Pat. And here we go. Question number 1. Only one RFL team has won 100 games. Which team has done it?
Me.
And I believe Pat has it where this is like legit RFL games. Or is this total?
Birds. CT.
All right, who said CT first?
Brewer. Drew Brewer.
All right, Drew Brewer, you got it. As if this guy needs any more reloads.
He's
Celtic
maxed out on
Tigers.
everything. He can't spend them.
Yeah. And he sends a shout out to Coach Back for that, since he's been keeping up with team wins, all-time wins and stuff like that. All right, question number 2. Which RFL player has the most defensive touchdowns in Season 8?
I feel like we talk about this guy every time a certain team comes up. Unless it's changed, because I know it was this guy like halfway through the season.
Yeah, I think it's different.
ESJ, Bulldogs corner, Le'Veon Henry.
No, you got it right. There you go, CP. Le'Veon Henry. Le'Veon
Yes,
Henry has 4 touchdowns. 3 is tied with Reese Goodall, Trey Sinclair, Javonte Gibson.
Yeah, because I would have guessed Reese Goodall.
All right, question number 3. Can't count. The last time the Elks played the Crusaders, who scored the winning touchdown with 1 minute and 58 seconds left? Hint, his only touchdown in Season 8.
Well, we already gave you a hint. We told you who won last time.
Yeah. So you got double hinted. So CP gets 500 reloads. Who else?
Brewer.
Brewer gets 500. I don't think them reloads matter to Pope.
Darius Martin, Luis Cardenas. Guys, he said only touchdown. Why are you guessing starting players?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
In fact, you both guessed Elks play
1. Boom.
when the Crusaders won last time.
Closed. I'll wait till I hear it on the stream. Okay, I saw myself when I said it, so I know this. Nobody got it. It's Bob Harriet. We don't know who that guy is, but he's a hero that week.
He scored it.
Yeah, week 12. Week 12. He then scored his only touchdown of the season and gave the Crusaders the win over the Elks 34-30.
What are you guys saying? Who? His name's on the screen. It's Bob Harriet.
Yeah. Nobody would have guessed that, I guess. We have question number 4. So an extra question, final one. Pat's been bringing out 4. How many episodes of the RFL podcast have featured Fun Facts with Pat?
It sounds like someone's running out of questions.
So how many times since this segment was introduced have this segment been featured?
Ten, 33, 12, 46, 13, 25, 16, 56, 20, 98, 21, 39, 27.
Whoever gets it right, it's double.
124, all of them.
And Pat, if they don't get it, you get double the reloads.
61, 18, 17, 19,
10, 9,
11,
8,
71,
7,
23, 31,
6,
8,
5,
3,
4, 3, 2,
6,
1.
29, 45,
Boom.
50, 66. I feel like it has to be a number in the 40s because we've done it for 2 seasons, or have we done it for 3?
I saw that. We've done it for a while. I can't even remember. But the answer is, and I don't know why this guy is answering when He's a coach, which is why nobody won it. 50. So this is the 50th time that Pat has had his segment of Fun Facts with Pat included in the RFL podcast. So Pat, you get a stack. It's a good thing for you because you get what's it called? Well, he's about maxed out, isn't he?
I think the only thing left he can get is change of direction.
At least you got a stack, man. So 1,000 for that, and yeah. He said I knew it had to be a read. And dude started Reed out here giving out answers like he about to win reloads or something. But yeah, that is it. I'm gonna go ahead and put up the schedule here for you guys just to see what's coming up. And feel free to ask any questions in the chat. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the chat and on my end so I can see you guys, because I've been looking down at my phone. If you wonder why I look around and all that stuff, just trying to look at my phone so I can see what you guys are saying. But now I could go ahead and expand it and see you guys on the
we have the Pro Bowl rosters because it comes out week 17. We don't announce it to everyone until Pro Bowl week.
Yeah.
Usually.
Well, yeah, it's Pro Bowl. Yeah, Pro Bowl week is when we announce it. So you guys won't know about that till after the divisional round.
Sharp, all you need to know is that he's fourth.
You said what?
I said all Sharp needs to know is that he's fourth.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting that, buddy. Say, what about reloads for this week, Smitty? There's no reloads for this week unless you make the playoffs. If you make the playoffs, then...
No, he's not talking about upgrades. He's talking about how do they earn them. I think it's just the same way. Like if they go get a screenshot to get the screenshot reloads.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Just show up to the premiere game.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just show up to the premiere game. See, who are your underdogs of the playoffs currently? And so they have a chance of potentially going on a deep playoff run. I mean, I guess you could.
His team.
Yeah, I just realized that was McConnell. But yeah, you guys definitely. I definitely can see that. I don't really see anybody else as a true underdog coming in and getting to a reload bowl other than the Snowhawks. And it's not even really like the Snowhawks are an underdog either. I mean, really aren't. But based off how you guys' season is coming and rebound, that's what kind of makes you one. Still gonna be tough for y'all, but y'all definitely have a good chance of doing it.
I mean, yeah, technically, Fry, I feel like with the way the opinion is on the Miners right now, if you guys made it all the way there, you can technically be an underdog, but I don't really see it happening.
Yeah.
Not this year.
Yeah. But what you have to face, like, and honestly, I feel like the Bulldogs are getting to the conference championship either way. And if you guys have to face them, really anybody has to face the Bulldogs, bro. I don't. Bulldogs is going to the bowl. Like, unless something crazy happens, unless somebody pulls off a miracle, the Bulldogs are going to the bowl, man. The defense is crazy. And all it takes is for Timmy Merritt to have some consistency and then to be able to run the ball a little bit, and it's over. So, and that defense is going to give them many chances to do that.
I wouldn't really say the Explorers are the underdogs. They're literally the defending champions. If they go in and win it all again, I don't think anyone's batting an eye.
Yeah, definitely not. Because, I mean, we're still expecting them to get in, too. I mean, I don't see them losing to the Gunners, to be honest.
Yeah, so. Now, if you're going to say you're an underdog to just get into the playoffs, I wouldn't agree with that either.
And they beat both teams. Like, they literally beat.
You've already beaten the Thunderbirds.
Yeah.
You just lose weird games for some reason.
Yeah. I was not expecting to say I thought they say the Miners. Yeah, I mean, let's if it stays like this, man, if the Miners get, man, I don't see how the Miners escape the first round. I
think the Miners would escape the first. To be completely honest, if we get that situation where it's the Bulls or the Dreadnoughts at 7, because the Red Dragons lose, I can see them beating either one of those teams.
Yeah,
but if they have to put the Voyagers, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the Voyagers, I don't see it. Red Dragons, I don't see it because last time they played, it was a massacre. I know it was earlier within the season, but When McCain, he's still a young quarterback, and he has to face up against elite level defenses like that. That's what changes everything. And the only way that they can get out of that is if he just throwing the Uncle Buck all day, and Buck's out there mossing everybody. And the likelihood of that happening against those defenses on a consistent basis is pretty slim. I don't see it happening.
Oh, how are we doing the playoff schedule this year for the 6 games? Because you got to call all of them.
Yeah. So I mean that. Let me see. So we still got Monday, Thursday, and
You
honestly,
one of those
man,
days you have to do a doubleheader.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like I could get to the old days. Well, nah, I'm not trying to do that because I'm about to say if I call a game every, I could have did all 6 of them or whatever on the weekend, but that'll be too many games, and then I know viewership will start to wane. So we'll have a game on
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. Let's see how I do this.
You're gonna do Thursday, then like 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, 1 on Monday.
Yeah, I think I might do that. Or I might give myself 2 days. So I think I might do Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, the 4 games split.
And then have Monday off.
Yeah, then have Monday, Tuesday, and then the podcast on Wednesday. So
Because in the week after that, we only have 4 games.
Yeah, and then that way I could just let that rock out the weekend, 2 each day again. And yeah, because that'll give me time to work on other things that I want. So, yeah. All right, so
it's the Bulldogs playing CT for whoever wins will get the first round bye.
Yeah. Okay, let me see. It says let me guess. Bro, is it okay? He said, "Bro, I loves me. Are you trying to be nice?" Then said, "Yeah, I'm not getting past the first." Yeah, I mean, I ain't trying to be nice. I'm not trying to protect anybody's feelings. I'm just giving my real opinions, man. Like, it is what it is. Congrats on making it, though. You know, I'm gonna be real. Like, I did not expect the Miners to make the playoffs. What's it called? The defense was great. The defense was definitely great. It was great there, even when Chumlee was there. But you know, these guys click. Honestly, the main thing I didn't expect was the rookies, not just Miles McCain, but the entire group to play as well as they did. Because Killian, that boy was definitely a key factor to the defense. Grant Culpepper is definitely a key factor to that defense. He was getting interceptions.
Killian ain't nothing.
Killian was killing him. I ain't gonna lie. Of course, McCain, he came out and did his thing. And since we on the open questions, like I said on Dunn's podcast, I'm gonna go ahead and speak my piece. When guys were talking about where I'm saying I don't get the logic of guys complaining, talking about how was McCain at 70. First of all, McCain don't be out here complaining. Y'all do all this complaining for him. He don't care about what his overall is. He's putting in the work. Nobody's trying to hear all this. At the end of the day, he came in with what he came in with. And if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, and you've seen guys was talking about these stats, but at North Carolina, he was not that good, and we all know that. You could talk about the receivers dropping passes, but when you add all that up, what is that? That's about 10 drops, 15. I mean, I understand that's a lot, but at the end of the day,
more yards, man.
No, it ain't. But at the end of the day, like, he obviously was not one of the top tier quarterbacks. He goes to a college at TCU where, do anybody remember Deoda Speller? I don't think anybody really does, because he was a dude that, even though he was trash, he put up those same numbers too. Like, he was putting up numbers because of what the receiving core was like, the talent that was there, you know, like, and so this is why I'm trying to say, I'm not taking away the fact that he had the team he had to play with. But when you go from doing that and you're with the UNC Tar Heels, and we saw what you looked at like in your first season, then you go to TCU, I understand why the stats are inflated. But I don't know, and y'all don't want me to make an actual highlight tape, because I'm not going to do this to McCain. But I want y'all to go back to see a lot of the important games where this guy had missed important throws. I just want you to look at that, because everybody wants to talk about how Peyton Cash led in the receiving yards. Or how about the deep balls he missed? You talk about the ones he connected on, but what about the ones he missed that were there, wide open? Nobody wants to talk
How
about
dare
that.
you, people.
But this is what I'm saying. Nobody's saying he wasn't a good. He didn't turn out to be a good quarterback within his whole makeup. But don't act like this guy should have been like on the level of even what McCall was within his one season. Because honestly, McCall was the better quarterback. He was elite. If McCall had to play 2 seasons, at that point, I mean, bro, he's a Bama prospect, but the dude placement, all that was elite, consistent. Dude was killing. You can't get mad that you got a 70 because how is that disrespectful when that's on the same level as McCall? And McCall was a better quarterback. He honestly would have been lower than McCall. The only reason McCall even dropped to a 70 was because he had 85 throw power. When your throw power is low, you can't get a higher rating. If he had a higher than 85 throw power coming in out of the draft, he would have been like a 72, 73. And so realistically, if we're comparing the production of these two quarterbacks, he falls right in line with the grade system that everybody else fell. And like I said, I just like going back and forth with these dudes. But at the same time, like, you can't please everybody. And I'm not here to protect people's feelings, like I said, and things like that. You just can't. These are my ratings on what I have to go with, man. Somebody's not going to like what I have out there, but I have a system. I have a structure. If you compare players based off of how they played with each other and look at them and you look at those ratings, everything makes sense. Everything is done for a reason. It's orchestrated. Every game is watched. Unless you're a lineman. Now, I have trouble with linemen at times. I ain't going to lie with that. But I'm looking at the sack totals. I do the best I can based off of how great the team ran and the sacks you gave up, even though we know that could be misleading. But, that's all I could do. If there's any position where I know it's tough, it's the line. So, but
No,
outside of
I don't
everything
really-
else, I see everything.
Yeah, Fry. I don't really think he's airing Miles out. He's just saying why he was a 70.
Yeah, don't get fired up off of that. See, this is what I'm talking about. So you're wrong for airing. Nobody's airing them out.
Yeah.
I don't see Miles in here saying anything, man. Like, that's what I'm saying. Don't go to war for, you don't need to. I'm just letting guys know. Same way that y'all got on y'all podcast and was talking about, oh, this was wrong and this and that. I'm doing it on mine. So it's what it is. But I'm giving you the logic that actually was behind it, and I could show you the proof. I can literally show you the proof. You can go back, we can look at the games. Like, I watched all the games, bro. I had to call most of all the games. Compare those dudes to the rest of the players. Like, let's be real. He turned out to be a great prospect because he put in the work. That's anybody. Anybody could do that. I'm just saying. And McCain, look at him. I'm chilling. Yeah, he's chilling, bro. Like, he don't care. He's balling right now. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. He got you in the playoffs.
You're going to be chilling in Cancun after that Voyagers game.
Man, I don't even think he would get this much publicity in terms or like with this stuff if guys didn't try to go to bat for him. Now, I understand why people try to because he's a great community member. He's active. That's what you want to be. That's what you drafted him for. But I think guys get a little bit tuned out when you look at the whole spectrum of the class. Like he's an active community member. I get that. But there was flaws in his game. And that's what made him come out the way he did. He ain't complaining, like I said. Still out there slinging touchdowns. Unfortunately, not right now leading for Offensive Player of the Year, which Rookie of the Year, which I understand why not. It's simply because, what's it called? When you get like 12 interceptions within Madden, that's pretty high. This was a high pick Madden. And his player didn't throw enough touchdowns compared to the rest of the quarterbacks within the file. Like, he's got 26 right now. He would probably need to have like a 4 or 5 touchdown game in this sim, like in order to do that. And I don't think that the sim's going to bless him with that. And like I
Sharp,
said,
you trying to get traded?
You said
I
what?
see you, Sharp. I think I'm thinking about trade Sharp. I might hit up done.
But yeah, see with him, it's just literally just the interception totals compared to the touchdown ratio that everyone else was just too high. When you look at those wide receivers that's over him, they're only over him because they don't have those statistics that hinders his chances of making it. Like a running back or a wide receiver can't throw interceptions. The only turnovers they're going to get is fumbles. So they get nothing but straight yards and touchdowns. And then you have McCain with 14 interceptions and he doesn't have a league high in touchdowns compared to everyone else. Then that's the reason why he's not leading the category. But he's still doing his thing. I mean, those other two guys, like they talk about on the podcast, those other two guys, they can win an award. It's going to help them with the dev. With you guys in the playoffs, you're going to get extra dev anyway. So anything else to talk about? We're not trying to turn this into Miners Live like how I was back. Oh, man.
That's what I'm saying, Q. Acting like Lane Kearney ain't a 90 superstar and whatnot.
What did he say?
Oh, he said, "Ooh boy, if Miles was my quarterback."
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, look how Dunn drafted. Like, yeah, he's going to get some natural flack because other guys was better. Some people didn't know that other players are going to be, some people didn't know that some of the players that were active were going to fall off as much as they did. But he did a great job in the draft, picking guys who he knew was going to put in the work, and look how it turned out. That's a risk, but it panned out well. They got a good locker room over there. You could tell the way they talk with each other, the way they do all that stuff. Like, they keep dudes involved, and that's the reason why they're having their success, right? So that's all I need to say there. I mean, at the end of the day, everyone still played how they played for the most part in college, bro. Like, was McCain not still throwing the deep ball, like bombing them joints? Like I say, he missed some in college, but like the deep ball was still his best part of his game. He came in here even before he became a 78. In his first early games, was still throwing nines. Like, players still did what they typically did in college. So I don't see, what I mean, what the situation is about all that. Facts, Bane living the dream. Think I'm caught up. He said, I know 14-2. Oh, yeah. So we stuck about that. So any other things to talk about, y'all? I'll be in, well, actually, I don't think I can. I think I got to start packing and stuff. Like, I know I am leaving tomorrow, but it's like tomorrow afternoon sometime. So, congrats on your first year, by the way. Yeah. I guess what I can show, well, it's going to show records, so no, I can't do that. I was about to say, I was about to show you guys, well, I can talk about it.
I mean, I know who's, you talking about the awards?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I know who's leading the awards off the top of my head for each thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, for most of them.
Well, I'm in the ARC file. You want to do the NRC?
Yeah, I know the NRC.
Okay. Yeah, this easy guy's got to get out of here.
He's not. He's there.
Yeah, he's probably gonna win
I
MVP.
I think number 2 is Savoy. So unless Savoy balls out, it's going to be that guy.
Number 2 right now is actually Glenn Hay, which is
okay.
Is dope. Let me go switch this to final scores, top 10. We'll do that. All right. Well, you could go. Well, actually, I'll go. Then you got it. All right. So for the ARC Offensive Player of the Year right now leading, we got Keith Guyton. It's obvious, been having a crazy season. Carter Delahart, who currently leads the conference in sacks. Rookie of the Year, we talked about. We got 2 guys right now ahead of McCain. They're both wide receivers, which is DJ Evans and Amari Harris. DJ Evans been going crazy. He's the one on the top. Tank Frost, this guy's been leading this category for the ARC all year. So that's good news there for the Black Knights. Anthony Savoy right now, ARC, best quarterback. Kingston Kinney, best running back right now in the ARC. Keith Guyton, best wide receiver, obviously there. Offensive lineman, best lineman, we got Jake Cowser of the Dreadnoughts. For the defensive line for the second consecutive year, looks like it's going to be Drew Brewer, guys. So, and he's been an absolute dog. Carter Delahart for best linebacker. Le'Veon Henry, the most interceptions. He's got the record right now with 11. And then best kicker, Miners kicker, Anthony Carney. And that's it for those awards there. MVP-wise, I just talked about was Glenn Hay. So, what you got there on the NRC side?
MVP right now is still Reed Wagner. Offensive Player of the Year is Madison Axel. Defensive Player of the Year is Deshaun Richardson. Quarterback is Reed Wagner. Running back is Axel. Receiver is Elijah Bentley right now, if I remember correctly.
Kind of shocked with that because I mean he must have been turning. We must have had them in some premier games or something because he
Yeah.
was balling, but I didn't think he'd be up there.
O line. Let me look at this real quick. Because who cares about O line, right?
Yeah, we don't.
No. It's currently Pat McNeil.
Pat McNeil. Shout out to Pat. Let's get hashtag Pat in the chat, man. Pat about to win best offensive lineman of the year. He's been there for a minute too.
D line is obviously Deshaun Richardson. Linebacker is Marvin Woolfolk. DB is Rashad Chamberlain. And then kicker is Jeff Eisen on the Crusaders right now.
Jeff Eisen. Okay. All right then. So that's it, guys. Unless you guys got some more questions, I'll stay on for like we can go until 10 for 7 questions if you guys got anything. If not, then we'll log off as soon as more questions stop rolling in. If you guys got any questions on just our thoughts on certain things, any questions about the RFL in general, feel free to post in the chat. And we'll go ahead and answer them here live. 6 minutes now left. So I wanted Keith to become the Triple Crown wide receiver this season. He's got a chance. Say for instance, and they're playing the Red Dragons too this week. So right now with 15 touchdowns is KJ. And if Keith Guyton can get 2 touchdowns on the sim, he'd be able to edge him out with 16. So he could lead in the yards. He's definitely leading in receptions. How much your boy Piku got in receptions?
He has less than Wagner and Bentley.
Okay, then, but how much is that? Is it? I don't think anybody's got 125 like Keith Guyton right now. Okay, yeah, so he's the receptions leader, he's the yards leader, and he would need a few touchdowns and KJ not to get anything to get that. But how many touchdowns does Piku have?
15.
Okay, so like if Piku gets another one, then that would be difficult. So Keith would have to get 2, and they'd have to get stopped. But he leads in 2 categories, receiving wise. Dude's a dog. Okay, we got OK Person in the chat. It says, I'm new to the league.
Piku has 12.
Oh, okay. What's the next highest touchdowns over there?
Let me just pull up Neon.
Okay, Person says, I'm new to the league, but I'm wondering what are the different conferences and divisions?
Bentley has 15.
You said 15?
Yeah, Bentley has 15.
Okay, so Bentley's got 15. Cool. All right, yeah, so he would two would put him pretty good, and we don't know what Bentley's going to do in his game against the Elks. But yeah, he said, wondering what are the different conferences and divisions. It's kind of the same as the NFL, except for the AFC and the NFC of the NFL. We call ours the ARC and the NRC for American. It's the same stuff, but it's just instead of football conference, it's relocation conference. So the American Relocation Conference and National Relocation Conference. The divisions are still the same, where we got it's just like the NFC East. No, NFC East or whatever. It's the NRC East. So it's the same exact stuff. If you want to look at our teams, if Makai, if you could do that again, or anybody else, post the Neon Sports links in the live chat, and for him to be able to look at it, or in the they should be something in the actual video chat too for you to hop in on, and click on that. It will show you what our teams are. You can go to our website to see what our teams are, but if you want the stats and everything else, you can go ahead and check out that Neon Sports site. So is Daniel Severio starting since the T-Birds are sitting? No, he is not, because we still need homeboy. He'll be out there on special teams though, like he wants making tackles. He'll be out there. That's the only time he's gonna be on the field. But he is not gonna be on the field at all. Yeah, we're not risking that. Not risking that at all. All right, guys. Seems like that might just be it, man. I appreciate y'all boys coming to the RFL podcast as always. Like I said, I won't be calling games, but the games will still be showing at their rightful times. I'll come back on the last game, the Celtic Tigers and the Bulldogs, which I'll once again show the schedule. Here it is. Y'all do not want to miss any of these games, man. A lot is on the line. Who's going to make the playoffs? It's the final push. Appreciate you guys coming through. Make sure you hit that like button before you guys roll out. It's your boy Smitty, RFL Commissioner Player Play Commentator, along with Forbes tonight. We'll see you guys.